Welcome back to A Screenwriter's Journey. I am your host, Jack, and I'm actually writing today, day 65, unlike the other day. I just saw July 27th. Today is September 8th, so roughly 6 weeks, which seems to be about how it's been going in terms of when I do the commentaries. Don't know that that matters or not. I think that's probably a good time. A good time was had by all. So yesterday I was talking about the inciting incident and how it has to happen to the main character. And even though I don't know what you'd even call Alexi, she's not really a co-protagonist because it's not really a buddy film. I did think about that, and I think I mentioned before that, and I see once again I'm not writing anything, so this is very disappointing. But I'll finish this thought and then we'll see what happens. I mentioned before that in early, I don't think I ever outlined anything, but I had thought about being more of a buddy film where they travel together, road trip kind of thing, but didn't turn out that way, and I'm okay with that. So, so Holly here on page 10 is telling Lexi that she's got two decisions she has to make, and jumping around. Yeah, I kind of. So, like, Holly's told her all this stuff, and suddenly Holly she doesn't know what to say. And so Lexi has that line, and then Holly responds. And as I've said many, many times, and I'm sure you've heard and seen and read and experienced many times, when you have someone ask a question, you don't have to answer it directly. And typically it's better if you don't. Unless, having said that, of course, sometimes you do. But you pick now to stop talking, and she doesn't apologize. She doesn't say anything, but she says, "I know it's a lot," which is kind of an answer, but not really. And then she does add the answer that I won't know until Monday. All right, so Paul calls. And he's got some news. In fact, he says literally, "Are you sitting down?" And I think this is a new scene. Yeah, this is new. So here we go. I'll just read it. Justice Martinez with a Z wants you. Yeah, that's probably not going to be the final dialogue. That would not be proper. Oh, or maybe it is. So the idea here is that, as I said, I changed that opening. So Justice Martinez was the judge who signed off on the whole deal. And I believe I reported that I did do some research. And yes, that is within the realm of possibility. So she knows of Holly. She knows, maybe through Paul or maybe just whatever, that what she's been doing these last 14 years. So at this point, we don't know if she thinks that somehow Holly is eminently qualified, if she thinks, ooh, that made me just think of something very juicy, but I can't talk about it now. It's not the thing from yesterday that I mentioned, but oh, that's pretty cool. Hopefully I'll remember to comment on it when it comes to pass in the script. So the idea is that for some reason that we don't know 100% for sure, that Justice Martinez, as I'm working on Paul's dialogue, wants Holly to be on her security detail. So I was trying to think, obviously, the best way to break that to the audience, because when you think about it, you're telling the characters things and they're finding out things, but ultimately it's the audience, right? Whether they put themselves in Holly's spot, they empathize with her, they say, oh, I could be just like Holly, or I could be just like Paul, or any of the kids, or something like that. So really putting the audience in the character's shoes, making them feel to some extent some of the emotions they feel, If they're trapped, if it's suspense, if they're worried, if they're in danger, if they're in love, if they're breaking up or something. Something maybe that the audience individually has experienced in his or her life that they can relate to. So in this case, on the one hand, we've got Lexi, who's got all these bombs dropped on her, and now we've got Holly getting a bomb dropped on her. And so that truly is the inciting incident / catalyst, because it's really going to change what happens. She had planned to spend the weekend up there, and now Paul is telling her that she has got basically one day, and then she's got to scoot her boot to Washington, D.C. so she can go to Paris. And so what I'm doing on the script is obviously trying to construct this, A, as succinctly as possible, which, again, always should be a goal. B, make it as realistic as possible. And C, I don't know, fill in the blank. Now, Holly, of course, we're intercutting. I pictured this intercutting. I didn't want to play the whole thing on Holly, I don't think. But Lexi does not hear what's going on. And so she doesn't know, because all Holly has said basically is the thing about the Last Supper and then, yes, sir. So Lexi has no idea who Holly is talking to. Holly, for whatever reason, doesn't want to break it to her. I think you can probably guess why. So what does she say? Big day tomorrow, which is another way of saying, yeah, let's wrap things up. So I'm still working on the dialogue here. Yeah, got rid of that. So, yeah, I'm a little biased, but I think this is a lot better. For the reason of the catalyst and who it happens to and who it affects and that sort of thing. So I had Paul fooling around with some more dialogue, and then I think usually, as I've said before, and as I'm sure you've heard and experienced, less can be more. And that's what I'm trying to put into practice for the whole script. But the first several drafts is never easy, because you just love, there's nothing more fun than writing dialogue, especially when it's good or better. And, sometimes you can just have characters talk and talk and talk, and you can know that you're not going to use it. But when you hear them talk, so to speak, then you can get a better handle on them, hopefully give them a distinct voice, which I've always had trouble with and constantly working on. But I don't know, hard to do for me. Anyways, the point is you can have them talk and talk and talk. And even as you're writing, you can know kind of a self-governor on yourself that, hey, I know this isn't going to be in the script, but I want to see how they talk. I want to see how this conversation goes. And then you can go back and pare it down into, okay, what do I really need to tell the story? Again, it's that old, hey, how are you? Oh, great. Well, how's the weather? Oh, the weather is not very good. It's raining. Oh, it is raining? Yeah, it rained yesterday. I think it's going to rain tomorrow. Don't need it for the most part. So Lexi goes in, talks to, I don't think that changed too much. She talks to Abby. Ooh, I just thought of another thing that I need to, well, you'll see it when it happens. Sorry to have all these not really cliffhangers, but I'm setting you up. I just want you to keep watching and watching and watching and sharing and liking and subscribing and watching The Key on Amazon Prime, because something's going on with Amazon Prime, because according to them, no one's watched even a minute of my film in like 2 months, which I think is preposterous. Criminal, in fact. All right. What am I doing here? So I'm just kind of tweaking this a little bit to pare it down to obviously the least dialogue possible. and at the same time trying to make it like people talk, which is kind of, an odd phrasing sometimes. It's not perfect English. So Abby and Lexi are talking. Not seeing many changes, not even seeing myself. Oh, here we go. All right, so jumping ahead. Yeah, so nothing really has changed here, or I should say nothing needs changing, because as I've said many times, I am changing something. Maybe just fixing a typo. And I do know that this has got a lot of typos in it. So if you're watching this and saying, Jack, fix something, leave me a comment. But by now, hopefully it's fixed because of reasons that I won't go into now. Okay. What happens if you leave? So I did have to change this because Holly is going to leave. She's leaving tomorrow. She's leaving today, right? Because this is Saturday morning and they're driving up. And so, again, she could have told Lexi, but she didn't. And so why didn't she? Why do you think? Let me hear all your answers right now. I've got my hand cupped around my ear. I think you understand why. Hopefully. So Lexi kind of probes, don't worry about me. And as she says, I'm not. I just, want to know what's going on. And then she uses that we're stuck with each other indefinitely, which I believe Holly used in the first scene with Paul in the gym or the workout thing or whatever. So Holly doesn't, all right, let's just say she doesn't want to have to tell Lexi she's leaving because she's obviously fond of her. She's got, 14 years invested in her, very much an aunt/mother figure. And she knows that it's going to end in 8 hours when she's got to leave. And she doesn't want to tell Lexi, as simple as that, which I think is kind of cool. So because, in pages roughly 12 to 22, 23, 24, in Save the Cat language, it's the debate. And so on the one hand, we've got Holly debating whether to tell her the truth or tell her what's going on. And we've got Lexi debating how much to tell her friends. She's told Abby some. She hasn't told the boys really anything. So that's to me, that's kind of the debate. And it has to, it lasts quite a while. Obviously, other stuff is happening. But that can be a tricky part of the script. It can be. It isn't always. Sometimes it's easy, but sometimes it's tricky. All right, so they go to the whole go-kart thing. All right, so now something has got to change here. Suppose you're turning about that. We actually need to go straight to the cabins. So I think I just changed that dialogue a little. And, of course, the day's over. I'm not going to go on and on because day 66 is coming up tomorrow. Thanks again for joining me. The Screenwriter's Journey continues. We're 2/3 of the way to 100. Will we reach 100? Will you reach it with me? I sure hope so because I appreciate you being here. See ya. Bye.